Michigan adds to its 2022 recruiting class. Mammoth, three-star defensive tackle Kenneth Grant has joined the fold. He's out of Merrillville, Indiana. EJ, a kid you've seen quite a few times. Sean Nua pushing hard for him. The rest of the Michigan staff involved as well. He really has enjoyed his time on campus a couple times. Decides to shut it down after Sean Nua was at his game last Friday night to show some support, get an in-person evaluation, was able to close the deal.
Yeah, hell of a job by Sean Nua, man. Happy for him. He's gotten a ton of criticism, some of it deserved, some of it not. But he needed a lot of help last cycle for Michigan's big close with a strong defensive line class. But he really hadn't shown that he could lead the way, that he could, take hold of a recruitment and really seal the deal himself. And he did that with Kenneth Grant. He identified Grant early on. He built a strong relationship with him throughout the cycle. He made him a top priority. Even when Ohio State came in with an offer, he weathered the storm. He continued to keep constant contact with Grant, his family, his head coach, Brad Seiss. Nua did a phenomenal job here with Grant. He got him on campus 3 times, including for the game against Washington. Went out to his game on Friday to show him that he was and is the priority at nose. And, of course, Grant rewarded him with a commitment this week. So I thought Nua did a fantastic job, his best recruitment during his time at Michigan.
No doubt it. Absolutely a great job by Sean Nua to close on this one. What is Michigan getting? What is Sean Nua getting in his room when Kenneth Grant joins the Michigan football program, either next year as an early enrollee or in the summer? Obviously he's a 3-star, but we've talked about this many times on these airwaves that he's underrated, and you believe one of the more underrated prospects in the country.
Yeah, he's super underrated. I think he might be the most underrated prospect in the country. Nobody on the Rivals Network has gone out to see him live except for me, and that's a travesty. He's a monster. He is exactly what his profile says. He's about 6'5", 340 pounds. He's a true nose. He's a tremendous fit for Michigan's defensive scheme. I think he's a guy that can come in and play right away and get significant time as a freshman. I've talked to those in Ann Arbor, and they feel the same way. I know the Michigan staff is absolutely fired up to have Kenneth Grant officially in the fold. And I do feel like he is one of, again, the most underrated recruit in the nation. I've seen him plenty of times in person, including for a game earlier this fall. And he's just dominant at the high school level. Not only is he a big run stuffer, but he's quick and athletic for his size. He's built well. He looks as good as you can for being 340 pounds. Like, he doesn't look like a big, fat guy. He looks like a big built guy. And, he's, again, really athletic for that size. He's provides a pass rush from the interior of the defensive line. He requires constant double teams. Again, he plugs gaps, stuffs the run. He does everything you want as a nose. And so, again, I think he's the perfect fit for Michigan's scheme.
Yeah, I'm sure the Michigan staff is fired up. By the way, insider nugget, they are at practice right now, so they got the good news in the middle of practice, and I'm sure that energized at least the coaching staff, and some of the guys there. I'm about to head over there for some after practice interviews here coming up. And EJ, you're about to head out and see Kenneth Grant. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm about to go hang out with my guy, Kenneth Grant. So
there you go.
Yeah, I think, this is one that I've been following for a long time. So I was fired up when I got the news too. As soon as Michigan offered Kenneth, I went out to see him, and he's always been one of my favorite kids. And I was the first to put in a pick for him across all networks. So I'm really excited about him. And he's a kid that fits Michigan. Like, he's exactly what a Michigan kid should be. So he's definitely an exciting commit.
Real quick before we wrap up, where does Michigan go from here at defensive tackle? They have some options here, including Deion Walker, 4-star out of Detroit Cass Tech. Walter Nolan is a name that's continually come up. Seems like a long shot at this point, the 5-star D tackle out of the Knoxville, Tennessee area. What are your thoughts on Michigan's defensive tackle recruiting going forward? Obviously a huge land here, and now could be some icing on the cake going forward.
Definitely. So with Mason Graham committing last week, and now Kenneth Grant jumping in the mix as well, Michigan can really hone in on Deion Walker and sealing the deal with him. He's been a Michigan lean for a long time. He visited on multiple occasions this summer. He was back on campus for the game against Washington. I think Michigan just needs to shut the door there, and now they can allocate all their resources towards closing with Dion Walker. And they can still work on Walter Nolan in the background. Like you said, that's more of a long shot, but you never know with him. But I think right now this allows Michigan to really go all in on Dion Walker and invest everything they have into closing with him. And that would be quite the mammoth duo to have the 300-pounders in Dion Walker and Kenneth Grant.
No doubt. So follow along at thewolverine.com. Full coverage of this commitment. Kenneth Grant joining the Wolverines 2022 class as the 18th member. This is a top 15 class here. And, possibly if a rankings update comes on Kenneth Grant and he becomes, no longer one of the more underrated prospects in the country, if he's properly ranked, could climb in those national rankings. So stay tuned at thewolverine.com for full coverage.